Hi, everyone. Welcome to our today's webinar. We're excited to have you here as we discuss the ways to stay ahead in the cybersecurity race. Since we are still waiting for some people to join us, that gives us some time to get to know each other. And for that, we have one question prepared for you. Super simple question. Basically, please let us know how big is your security team? Whether that's one person taking care of the cybersecurity stack, whether you have a bigger team. Okay, so thanks for voting, everyone. It looks like we have quite a mix of participants today, from solo IT or security professionals to larger teams with 10 or more members. And that's great because the challenges and priorities can vary based a lot depending on the team size. So we'll touch on that in today's discussion. But before we dive in, I would like to share some housekeeping rules with you. So first of all, this session is being recorded. So after the webinar in the following days, you'll receive an email with a thank you note for joining us today, some additional information, and a link to a video recording. At the same time, during the webinar, feel free to ask your questions anytime in the Q&A panel. And after the official part is over, we will address those questions. Last but not least, we did put quite a lot of effort into preparing for this webinar. So we would love your feedback. And after it's done, please complete the short survey at the end and let us know how did we do. So I think we can move on with the webinar now. So let's meet the hosts. So I'm Ustea, I'm head of product marketing at NordSecurity, and I'll be your host today. Joining me is Simas. You can see him on your screen. He is our product manager at NordPass, and together we'll guide you through practical strategies to help your team stay secure and compliant no matter the size.
Yeah, thank you, Stea. Hello, folks. It's a pleasure to present this. I would say, I'll tell you a story, a practical story about several of our features that we have on NordPass that is tightly related to what I do in the company, that is onboarding. So I hope you'll find this very insightful.
Thanks, Simas. So a quick overview of what to expect today. And as you can see on the slide, first of all, we'll introduce a fictional company and persona so you can relate today's story to your own daily work. We'll walk through the challenges that person faces without strong security policies in place. Simas then will demonstrate step by step how to tackle those challenges using NordPass. We'll highlight a clear before and after comparison so you can see the real world impact, answer some of your questions, and provide you with resources to help you move forward. At the same time, during the webinar, we'll have some polls running to get your input and make sure we address your team's top priorities. Moving forward with the fictional company that we have today with us. So this is CodeWave Solutions. They're a mid-size SaaS IT services provider with around 120 employees. They have a small IT team and with big responsibilities. And at the same time, they do have strict compliance requirements from their clients. So in today's world, it's like they're competing in a high-speed race with very limited resources.
Exactly. So in my experience talking with the customer, Mia is a very classic example. And we also saw this in the survey that 40% of participants handle IT and security topics in the company. So this is very, and we hope that this is going to be very close to home for you, and we'll have some both theoretical and practical examples, and both going to compare, how it looks like without NordPass and with NordPass as well.
Okay, so talking about Mia, our fictional character today, Simas, what are the biggest headaches for Mia in managing access and security at her organization?
I'd say time. And I think participants will agree that you don't have a lot of time, especially if you're alone. There's all they're all different, various different tools and topics in cybersecurity, processes floating around in the organization. So it's very important to have very trustworthy and robust system, and also you have to be fast, and the processes have to be fast. So everything must click into place. But when you work alone, it's very off-putting, and I think it throws the person out of place if somebody leaves the company, or a new person comes into the company, and you don't have any automated processes to handle that. So I'm sure that it is very time consuming and very stressful to get all the stuff back, or put all the stuff up for the newcomer to have. And especially when the threats are bombarding from all over the place, it's going to be very chaotic in the organization.
Yeah, well, that sounds a bit too familiar, I think. But speaking of pain points, so it's time for another poll. And let's get a quick pulse from our audience. So, what's your number one headache in access management at your organization? Whether shared credentials, risk of breach, lingering sessions, or is it unauthorized logins? I'm not sure we can vote for all of them, but I would vote for all of them.
Yeah, usually these things come in hand together.
Hey, so we have some clear winners, some less of a headache situations here, but it looks like many of you are dealing with similar challenges. So it means you are definitely in the right place and at the right time to see how NordPass can help you gain a competitive advantage. And that's why Simas will walk you through of Mia's way and how she tackled these challenges step by step using NordPass features. So where do we start? Because we have a lot of features, but where do we start? Where do you think we should?
Well, I think we'll start with number one, share credentials. So we'll show you how NordPass and NordPass feature sharing hub will help you to manage share credentials, secure share credentials as well. And I'll cover a load of other topics related to that. But obviously, we'll go through much more topics. Actually, all the four of one that you have voted for. So how this is going to work? I have a demo environment on one screen, and I also have this Figma Jam on the other. And we'll go through each feature, each new feature, and I'm also going to talk about a few things here. Well, on the left side, you'll see cybersecurity framework objectives for cybersecurity controls, and the framework topics that each feature either helps you achieve or at least complements when you're using NordPass and using this feature in your organization. On the top, you see the goal. So this is the organizational goal, what the organization has set, why you're going to use the sharing hub or other feature. And right here, I have these two sections. One is without NordPass and one is with NordPass. So I have these diagrams explaining a case, how your situation looks like without NordPass, how it looks like with NordPass, and I'll talk about a few examples, a few situations, what happens, and where it starts and how it ends, and also explain a bit around those events. So we're going to start with Sharing Hub. So first off, I want to showcase Sharing Hub. Sharing Hub is one of the freshest features that we have on NordPass. We recently updated it with very powerful functionality that lets the highest role on the organization admin panel to control all the shared activity, all the shared credentials, and on NordPass. So right here, I'm on the NordPass admin panel. And admin panel consists of a lot of functionalities for auditing, for member management, and for security for the ones that are not familiar with the product. But for the ones that are familiar with the product, I think it's I hope it's a daily screen that you have each morning to check for dashboard. But Sharing Hub is a very great feature, and I'm also going to explain one simple case for that. So imagine that you don't have a password manager. You probably have a lot of password laying around all over at the organization. So this is also going to be one of the MIA's headaches. So also for you, for those 40-ish% also as well. Everybody using their own software, multiple spreadsheets shared across multiple teams, maybe duplicates of same spreadsheets or a mix of credentials all over the place. So it's a huge headache. So to handle that, usually the biggest and the most obvious thing is to grab everything, lock into one place, let's say one spreadsheet, and then just handle it yourself. So it's not very scalable. It's hard to manage and pose a lot of risks. So how we are handling this at NordPass, that on NordPass on our password vault, everybody has their own list of items that they create, or somebody can share passwords or folders to users or to user groups. So this can be a process to apply the least privileged access principle, or if you are sharing, for example, a credential to somebody, you can choose specific permissions, and that helps you out with also least privileged access. But you can also share it with a group of users, like project, I think. No, I don't have the access for that. But essentially you can share it with a group of people like this. You can also have specific permissions. So that helps you out with role-based access. And anytime you can handle this shared access in a more controlled way. So how to increase security with Sharing Hub is basically you can still pull all that one file or one single spreadsheet to NordPass and share it with your team. So it's very easy and very straightforward. You can go to settings on your vault, pull up import. I'm going to import a spreadsheet, and I'm just going to simply upload it. I prepared it specifically for this case. So as you can see, I'm pulling in a list of items. There's a folder and also one secure node, because there's a secure node because I formatted this based on our guides. But let's import all those items. And voila. So everything here in an encrypted platform, locked up with zero knowledge, XChash20 encryption algorithm. And now I am able to share this folder with my team. So I can go and pull up a bunch of people, and also can apply least privileged access through our permissions. Now, I can do it myself as Mia, but let's say Mia is swamped with work. She doesn't have time for that. So she says, "Okay, guys." She pulls up all the teams team leaders, and says, "Hey, guys, just pick the passwords that you use in your daily work. Put it in a spreadsheet. Import it to NordPass, and I'll handle the rest." And this is very productive and very efficient way to do that, because at this point, this Luke user is a team leader. So as Mia, I then can come up to work next morning, check this folder, and then I can assign access to me. Let's say Albert is Mia because we don't have Mia on this demo account. And I can share it with specific permissions straight away from here, and I can transfer ownership to me. So I transfer ownership to me. Now I centralized the management of all shared folders that each team imports. And of course, I can then share it with a team that can autofill permissions. So now I'm doing least privileged access assignment. And that's it. So I, let's say, encapsulated everything into one centralized platform. I can do it the rest for the rest of the folders. I can assign all these folders to me. So I'm the owner. I still left this team leader that can edit permissions, so they could do any ad hoc edits on the item. But still, I can do audit. I can audit the items, what are there. I can't see the actual password, but at least I know the context, what's there, and I'll see all the sharing activities as well. So if anyone in the organization will do one-to-one sharing, I'll also be able to see that. If I don't accept that, I can terminate the sharing, and that will be a full control over the shared items. So yeah.
One question from me. Does Sharing Hub help with keeping shared access secure once the employee leaves the company, for instance?
Absolutely. Of course. So the biggest headache for I'm hoping, because basically throughout my experience with our clients, I often hear that what happens with the access once the people leave? How do I control that? How do I restrict user access to those credentials? And how do I secure those passwords before they go? Or alternatively, companies often say, hey, person left the company, they know what's the password, so I now I need to rotate all passwords for all the shared credentials. So that's not a very effective way, because you don't have the 100% coverage over your shared credentials. So there's an alternative, and this is, I'm going to show how you're going to do that. So I have a case about this, specifically about employee leaves the company right here, and without NordPass and with NordPass. So without NordPass, you let's say you have stored passwords on a spreadsheet or any other alternative on the cloud, maybe locally. You don't have full management control. The information is not automatically updated, especially if the spreadsheet or its content are duplicated, and it's close to impossible to apply second factor authentication, because who's going to confirm or approve all those requests or send 6-digit codes to hundreds of employees? It's time consuming. And also a time consuming process is when somebody leaves the company. Of course, you can turn a blind eye and say, well, nobody's going to use those credentials that they know already. But for due diligent administrators would like to rotate those passwords or change them. So we have an alternative for that. So the process looks like, without NordPass, that somebody leaves the company. Of course, access to a spreadsheet to their Google, Microsoft, or Okta or other account that has access to the cloud drive or local drive are revoked automatically, but still credentials still at risk, because they know those credentials. They had access. They could do copies. They could they could remember them, or even duplicate and store them somewhere else. So you, as an admin, usually have to inspect which credentials were used by the person. You have to note them down and then change those passwords manually. So that's a very time-consuming work. Thus, these clocks right here. These clock symbolizes the time-consuming effort. And of course, the shared passwords often have copies somewhere else, and those copies get are outdated. Maybe you have updated on one spreadsheet, but you forgot on the other, and then you have to go back all over again. You find a new spreadsheet, new accesses, and it's a very big headache for you. But with NordPass, it's relatively easy because everything is stored in a centralized place. The access is provided in role-based access, least privileged access principle. That means the users cannot see all the shared credentials in the organization, but the ones that are specifically for them. So the process is relatively easy and straightforward, just a one straight line. And I'm going to pull this on the side and just going to show you how it looks like. So imagine Luke is the one that left the company. So I can delete their account but I won't do that because I have one example to show you in the future. But essentially, if you revoke if you revoke their access, you can also pull their assigned passwords or assigned folders and reassign another person or somebody who takes over their role or to take or temporary going to work instead of them, share their access, and then just simply going to transfer ownership or wait for a permanent employee who will be managing those credentials. So access obviously is revoked for Luke through identity provider, or you did that. But once Luke leaves the company, you receive a notification, an alert that saying, "Hey, there are items in Luke's vault that you need to transfer." So you can do that. You can go to the admin panel and then transfer all those assigned items to somewhere else, and you didn't share anything at all with you didn't do any copies, duplicates, and this process is done in just 1 minute. There's also one small thing around this sharing hub functionality that is not in this use case, but very tightly connected to a cybersecurity framework. There is one huge benefit that you could have over the shared credentials that is a flaw, or I would say just a huge headache for administrations, is second factor authentication. So when you import shared credentials, those shared credentials are simple logins to platforms. Like I can go to one great example, GitLab. So imagine this is a shared credential. I shared it with the team, and everyone can just join in to this account and log in with this credential. This credential can then at some point be unhidden, and you can see it. Some other providers can offer you a quick tricks like auto login when you autofill a credential, or an overlay over the UI, but it's not a 100% solution, because you can always inspect the page, then do a quick search and find the password field and then unhide it. And this doesn't help. So what actually helps is the second factor. So what I can do, I can pull up NordPass phone app. I can go to GitLab, and I can also go to my account. There's a bit different view for today than rather I saw yesterday. And go to, let's say, passwords, authentication. No, they changed this way a bit. Preferences, authentication logs. Just bear with me 1 second. Profile, I think it's profile. I'm searching for a second factor authentication, but if I can find it in 1 minute, I'm just going to drop it and just gonna tell you, oh yeah, I found it. Okay, so I'm going to enable the authenticator, and then I'm going to add the second factor code, this QR code, to NordPass. And the biggest magic to this is that it's shared. The item is shared. Yeah, so I added it with my phone. Now I can see it on my screen, and then I can share it with the team. And this code is stored in NordPass and in your organization ecosystem. So that means, let's see, did we register? Okay, let's see. Let's sign out. And the biggest magic here is that now, without this access to NordPass in general and access to this GitLab account, nobody will be able to get into this GitLab. This means that if somebody saw the password, uh, this will not be enough to get into GitLab. You also will need to have a second factor code that is stored on NordPass. And only through sharing this, you'll be able to do that. So again, for a quick presentation, I'm going to showcase the login. So I'm just one click, and even that's not enough. Oh yeah, so this is going to be enough. So basically, double clicks and I'm in. So this is one of the examples how we help to secure not only the shared credentials, but also add the second factor layer over shared credentials. So I know a lot of cybersecurity frameworks say apply second factor where possible, but NordPass makes it possible for those shared credentials. So what we did, we completed the primary controls for access controls. We applied least privileged access. We now have ownership over shared credentials. We applied also a second factor for shared credentials, and now I can even audit sharing activity, see what items are shared, what permissions are applied, and so on and so on. So it helps you with the industry giants like SOC 2, NIST, CIS, and ISO 27001. That relies to account access, access management, a bit of a data protection, identity provider, and logging and monitoring. So if you are seeking something like this, Sharing Hub is a perfect tool for you. Now, we're going to move on to another functionality. It's a data breach scanner. And data breach scanner also is a great tool to have that expands a bit further than a password management. Of course, it's all around the password security. But the biggest hole, what the company and Mia right here wants to do is implement external threat detection and mitigation process. So let's talk about how it looks like without this data breach scanner tool. So if the company doesn't have an expensive threat intelligence platform or a service, we see that usually it's, you probably see this icon and you notice it. It's an updated icon. This is Have I Been Pawned? And I know a lot of you know this platform. So it's a very popular one to check for leak credentials. And I noticed that admins do a regular process on logging into Have I Been Pawned and checking for those leak credentials. But the problem is that it's a time-consuming process. It's a manual process, and it doesn't actually encapsulate the solution. So what administrators or security specialists do, they manually just jump in and check a specific list of information on Have I Been Pawned. When they notice that some leak credentials were found, they identify that it's a risk for the employee's account. They inform the employee, and then there's also a need to check further what other accounts are vulnerable. So they also check again. They found a new leak. Leak identified, another risk, another information message to the employee, and then cycle continues. Also, you have to check if the password was reused, and that's also a very time-consuming process because you do it manually, and you have to ask the user if you don't have the visibility over that or a tool to do that. And then lastly, you either terminate the account or change the password. Also, either yourself reset an account, reset the password, or ask a user to do it manually if application is unmanaged. Then you apply, enforce MFA, or ask the user to do it and trust them. And I'm sure you don't trust your users that very well. And then lastly, the biggest thing that I hope nobody is skipping is enrolling employees to cybersecurity training. So very time consuming. There's a lot of places for you to make a human error as well. But with NordPass, the process is more automated and faster because you have on-time vulnerability detection and alerting. The service is free for you. Yeah, and both administrator and the user, the owner of that account, owner of the data, also informed about that. And you have automation capabilities. So what happens? So you have leaked credentials. You get an email notification that, hey, a new leak was found as an administrator. So you click on a notification, you're sent to the dashboard. Right here in the dashboard, we have this data breach scanner tool. So let's say we have those 7 breaches happened in one day. I open the report. I see these breaches are related to my email domain, to our email domain, sorry, to organization email domain. These are the incidents. Right here under name, these are either applications or a source where the incident happened, domain, the breach date, and people affected. So we can check, let's say, the last one, and we see that what was the incident, what sort of data was compromised right here, email, username, date of birth. So I'll show more examples in shortly. We also see people affected, so we can sit down with them and talk with them and resolve them, because sometimes you will not be able to reach the application that they have breach on. It's not managed by you, and then you'll able to resolve it. And most importantly, we have this a playbook for how to resolve breaches. So you're not alone if you don't know how to resolve it, don't have the knowledge for that. We have some guides and tips how to do it. That's from the administration perspective. From user perspective, I also am informed about the breach. So as you can see, hey, look, all red, my account was compromised. This is my monitored asset. I can view the information. Lots of incidents right here. The application also tells me that what sort of information was compromised. Red is high risk, gray is low risk. And then I also can check more info about my leak data. As you can see, there's loads of information that our internally developed service gathers from a dark web and a deep web. Date of birth, credit card, bank account number, currency, whatever was included in that particular data set. I can hide it and see it, and to verify that that's actually my data. Of course, it's not mine; it's fake data. But you probably understand that it's a very powerful tool. Whatever hackers published on the dark web, you'll be able to see it for yourself as well. So what we did, we have automatically created the threat detection and mitigation process. It tracks your domain and pulls back information if there are any found on the dark web. So primary controls are, we have a form of exposure monitoring. So whatever happens outside of your perimeter related to data and information, you will see, as long as it's related to an email, an identity and a domain. A response can be created using this, because you can connect this information through to an external system like CM or any API automation system. Of course, you are aware, and we help you to coach the users to help you out. And also, you can also create you can apply the evidence and trend tracking. So, and trend tracking is used with this exposed password feature. So if you found any password online, if we find any password online and send it back to you, the next step is usually using password health and checking these exposed passwords. Because if an employee reused passwords, they have to update it. So as you can see, very common password. User can just jump in into change passwords tab and update it, while the administrator can check the dashboard, go to overview, and just track their progress over fixing these vulnerabilities. So you see all this information right here. And of course, frameworks, again, the same usual suspects: SOC, NIST, CIS, and ISO, all related to monitoring, detection, and response.
Okay. Simas, may I ask you something? So, I mean, in quite a lot of organizations, VPs and C-level executives are the main target. So when it comes to these accounts, and if these accounts are involved, are there any extra steps, measures you would recommend?
Absolutely. We also notice that our client C-level or VIP personnel are very prone to these sort of attacks. And the threat usually comes from their personal life. So what we suggest usually is to use NordPass for personal use as well. So if you're part of NordPass Enterprise, you can get NordPass Premium for free. So you have one for business, one for personal life, and then on personal life you can add your own um, email, or as you saw, credit card to this personal at gmail.com, and then you'll see information there about your personal life items. You don't want to disclose that with the organization, but you can do it privately, and it's a great habit. It's a great practice to just be aware about what's happening and update the passwords with a strong password created with the password generator. Okay, moving on. Now we're going to talk about the session management. Session management is something that is very important for security specialists, but it is very not very liked by usual users, because what session management does is controlling the frequency and the duration of user session length. So what it does, what's the goal of it? One of the goals is to minimize the exposure for not only for, as it wrote, the stored credentials on the user device, but essentially for all the user access across the device. Then, from the admin perspective, the goal is to control and audit how users are authenticating and re-authenticating to their personal or shared password access. And of course, if something happens, the admin needs to have a ability to manually revoke the session. So I have just one simple case that also related to spreadsheets. In the case without NordPass, the sessions are not, well, they depend on the IDP session length. But if the file of password file is stored on the drive locally or on the server, it's going to be a bit more harder to control the session, especially if the device is compromised. There again, there are limited control over user access sessions, especially if the applications are unmanaged. The administrator has no access to administrate those applications, and that creates a huge risk. So let's talk about the spreadsheet situation. Let's imagine there's a device that was compromised. Of course, the access to managed applications and their account is automatically revoked if there is an automation in that, or some specialist just manually revoke that on time. But the access to those spreadsheets are not revoked on time, and if they were open, it's going to be very hard um, to mitigate this incident, because if they were able to copy information on time, it's over. You can then assess the damage and then do a post-mortem. And well, if you're lucky, there's not a lot of damage. If you're not that lucky, it's going to be very long hours after work to to apply a security layer, change access, change credentials, and so on and so on. But with NordPass, it's easier, especially if all those unmanaged application credentials are stored on NordPass. So even if a user device is compromised, when you get a notification to your CM system or on your XREM system, access is then can be automatically revoked for NordPass. and that leads to locking their access to those external unmanaged systems. So threat actors will not be able to access those credentials when the vault is locked. So a few things that the administrator can do with NordPass. So when all those unmanaged credentials are stored by users on NordPass, uh, they can be compliant with cybersecurity frameworks by adding a session control layer over unmanaged sessions. So that increases the compliance. So first thing what they can do is define the session length. So the session length is defined by the sensitivity of data that your company is working with. So Mia works in IT. IT works with their customers. So that means they work with somewhat customer data. So our recommendation is 7 days. But if those projects involve more sensitive information, it could be 1 day, it could be an hour. But I guess you also have this common tendency that a lot of applications lock after 1 day, so it's not going to be very different for the users. But I mean, it's really up to you. But if the users are complaining about the frequency of login, you can be, you can be flexible. You can say, okay, let's not do 1 day, let's do 2 days, or let's maybe not do a week, maybe a week and 1 day, and something like that. Or maybe, defining hours. So really up to you. You can find that balance, maybe give them an exception or something like that. But we recommend to have at least 7 days, and it's going to be fine because not only there's a session a logging off for authentication, but also the autolock. And autolock can also be configured in different periods. And that's an extra layer of security. And then let's say we have identified some sort of a suspicious activity over the web. And then from our CM systems, we can also inspect the sessions. And this also gives you an insight how users are logging into NordPass. What are their behavior, right? So I'm using iOS. I also use macOS. So you see that I'm using the browser and the mobile app. My IP is here, and this will help you also a bit in the future about the next feature that I'm going to talk about. Of course, if you don't like this, if you see that something is suspicious and you don't want them to use a specific session, you can revoke those sessions or all sessions if you want to be safe in a suspicious event that is happening around this user. So what we did, we applied the session control. Now we're able to contain these sessions, remove those sessions, revoke these sessions. And we also have logging for specific evidence. Let's say what sort of IP was used, what device was used, and so on. Again, similar frameworks, SOC, NIST, about logical access, of course, loosely related to operational controls, account management, authentication, obviously, and all of these will talk about some sort of a version of session management. Okay, I think this is it about the session. Yes, please, Ostia.
So basically, in short terms, so why shortening the length of sign-in session is a good thing for business? Because I think that's something that we didn't mention. Like, what is that?
Absolutely, yeah. That's just a great question. So shortening the session length essentially reduces a chance for exposure, especially if the device is compromised. Or maybe there are also situations where user cookies could be stolen with the malware. So if those cookies are stolen or sold or taken over by somebody else, there's a lower chance for an exposure. It's just a very hygienic procedure, just from the practical perspective. But The biggest value is obviously just being compliant with the cybersecurity frameworks, because this is usually a repeating control that these requirements are asking for.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stia. Let's move on to the last one, to Network Allowlist. This one is the most recent one that we launched. This functionality allows you to restrict network access through actual network IPv4, IPv6, or country, defined which countries or IPs are allowed to access NordPass. So you can be sure that nobody outside of these networks or an external threat coming into and trying to brute force their way into your user account will not be able to do that. So without NordPass, and I'm going to show a very advanced situation right here that, again, the spreadsheet with passwords, access is obviously restricted on user-based or role-based. Spreadsheet is stored locally on some sort of a drive or a private cloud, public cloud. And the MIA gets a suspicious IP alert about something tries to enter externally to that particular file. Then, of course, the decision was made that those shared passwords are now vulnerable. Task is assigned to your colleague to inspect the spreadsheet through the logs and check for anomalies in the logs. If nothing is used, just you're gonna warn the users that something like that is going to they should escalate the alertness about the situation, and of course probably revoke access to the spreadsheet, even if risk is detected or not detected. But if risk is detected, again, another headache for the IT or security manager to change all those passwords, because potentially the threat actor already has access to them. Again, they'll need to secure the perimeter, so all the applications that were listed in that spreadsheet. Again, very, very big headache for the IT and operations. With NordPass, much more safer and more automated process. So if we get a suspicious IP alert activity, MIA has created a set of rules. So one is to check if the activity and the network rules IP is in the network rule range. So it can be rules or list of allowed IPs can be defined in the policy document, or you can just have it right here in NordPass. We have this policy page, the bottom, our newest edition Network Allowlist, and right here you can define these rules. I can add a rule name, like let's say admin private VPN, something like that. This is going to be our gateway for that VPN. I'm going to save it. This is my current IP, and let's say this is through that gateway. And I can add multiple rules, like I can add that office countries or something like that. Especially if I don't have IPs defined. United States, my home country, and that's it. So anyone trying to log into NordPass user accounts through not through these defined ranges will not be able to enter. And it's a very simple process to explain. So if I say I'm going to use NordLayer to change to Germany, and then let's say I change the network, and a few seconds in, when the Germany account kicks in, it should be voila. So I'm blocked. I can no longer access this. So basically blocking in time, not only on the entry, but when you're in the middle of something, you can also be restricted. And once you change to a safe network, you'll be able to join NordPass and continue your work. Very simple. So the process, again, if IPs match with NordPass activity logs as well, because also we activity logs gather such information right here. If we logged in through specific IP activities, will show you. And this information can be also pushed to CM or other API automated system. So if a match is found, then you can also add an automation to suspend the user access, and then you're basically cutting access to the threat actor. If no threats are found right here, you can just adjust the IP and country allowlist rules by changing several variables on country or on IP, and your access will be secure. But if you found something, obviously we're going to do a postmortem audit where that connection came from, and continue the monitoring.
Okay, so looking at this, I understand that not a lot of companies have network whitelist defined. And like, what would be your recommendation? Where would you start as such company? Like, we want to use this feature.
Yeah, of course. I just quickly showed you that the administrators have their own private VPN gateway. Some companies don't have this yet. Of course, we recommend it. This is one of our tools in our NORS portfolio, NordLayer. But if you don't have a tool like this yet, and you still want to be secured, the least thing that you can do, instead of typing in a list of office and home employee home networks, you can just simply define the countries. So that's going to be at least the first step for you. The next step, if you want to be more advanced, then you purchase some sort of a VPN tool, and then you'll have a more secure network. You also enter the ZTNA game, and then that comes up with more security benefits than just simply securing access through one gateway. And I think that's it. So I'm going to stop sharing the presentation. Just give me a sec. And over to you, Ostia.
So thank you. That was super insightful. And even though I work with NordPass on a daily basis and use it as well, but I did learn a thing or two. We did address, well, Simas did address the main headaches that IT teams could face. But we also promised a quick before and after comparison. So without using the security standing, without using NordPass, and with using NordPass. So would you comment on that as well here?
Absolutely. So before NordPass, it's a headache. Of course, if you have people that are having your back, you'll able to do these manual tasks. But if it's one person or several in the IT or security department, it's a chaos. I mean, having spreadsheets, sticky notes, it's, well, you told us yourself, it's one of the biggest headaches for you. And having knowledge about the breaches helps you also a lot. So before NordPass, spreadsheets, sticky notes, chaos, offboarding, and chasing people, asking what access did he got. It's a big headache. Breaches are the incidents are leaked credentials which you don't know about because you don't know about, and so you have to gain that knowledge either yourself or someone else. Also overburdening you. Also, the sessions are all over the place with unmanaged credentials as well, and the perimeter to access your resources is open or partially open. So, but with NordPass, you have centralized platform for storing passwords, sharing passwords. NordPass allows you to quickly on time get information about breaches and respond to those breaches. You can create risk-based session policies. And of course, even if without a VPN, at least with a country-defined logically restricted access, you can control you can you have more control over who access what access and when access your data.
Okay. Good, thank you. I see that we are like running out of time. And I think next time we should organize like a half-day boot camp for this, like a workshop with our clients to help them set up and answer all of their questions. I see that we have quite a few questions in our Q&A. I don't know, Simas, we have a few minutes. Just pick something and let's try to address our attendees' questions.
Well, absolutely. So I guess we can start from the first one I see. Let's see. Do I just read them from the list? I'm
Yeah, I
sorry.
think you can read them out loud because our
Right.
attendees can't see them, and then just answer if you can.
Of
Hopefully
course.
you
Of
can.
course. Newbie mistake. I'm not used to Zoom. Sorry. All right. So the first question, I'm just getting started with NordPass at my company. What's the very first step you recommend? Well, I would recommend not a step, but a process. And it's a very simple one. First, of course, NordPass allows you to test the product. But during this testing, or when you purchase it, you can have this, since not people don't have access to everything at one go, you can build your test environment how user access would look like. Groups, you can define the security policies that we briefly talked about. Pull up passwords, create some environments, share folders in that, and once you have everything ready, then you start with onboarding. We have documentation and video guys even helping you to teach your customers. Or a lot of companies don't even teach the customers; they just start up and they figure it out themselves, and they're pretty fine with that. The next question, how soon are admins notified if password associated with work email is found in a breach? So the time between our service that we built in-house and the user is in minutes or even less. But of course, it really depends when we get this information from, the service gets this information from dark web or deep web. It can take some time, but usually we do scans every day. So something new can come up every single day. Next, can the data breach scanner pick up exposures from both work and non-work related breaches? Yes. The thing is, or the trick is basically to monitor the asset, and the asset is the email. And if the email is part of your organization, and you can prove it, you can monitor it, and you get information for it. But if you're talking about yourself, yes, you can just add the email that you own to NordPass Data Breach Scanner, and then see what sort of leaks you had in history. How do these NordPass features help with passing SOC 2 and ISO 27001 audit? Well, yeah. Well, so I think I have defined this already. I think this question was just before the presentation, but I listed a list of cybersecurity frameworks and controls that that NordPass helps you achieve, or at least complements them. So just using NordPass is a great help, and it can help you in many ways. Are there any audit logs or reports we can export? Yes, in a sense. Exporting is so only data owners can export the data, but the activity logs can be extracted or synchronized with CM tool. So yeah, a new event comes in, you can then connect to your external platform or API automation platform, and then do it for monitoring, or you can build some sort of trigger action automation from NordPass.
A few
Is
more questions.
All right. Okay, let's do a few more. I'm gonna scroll down and choose a
Mhm.
few others from the bottom.
Yeah, but other than that, I can assure everyone, if we run out of time and you don't have your question answered, we'll
Okay.
get back to you with an email.
Awesome. All right. I see Pete asks, why would I not see Sharing Hub currently in my admin view? Is it not available, or is it only in the top version? Exactly. So Sharing Hub is available on Enterprise plan. You can upgrade it anytime, and it's going to be available for the top administrative roles. If you're an owner, you can see it. If you're an admin, unfortunately, it's role based and you cannot see this functionality. How do you get NordPass MFA passkey to work on mobile device, since it can only work on one device at a time? Well, I'm
Not
going to
anymore.
yeah, I'm going to surprise you. Yeah, not anymore. So NordPass Authenticator now works on multiple devices. So you can just pick up phone, scan the QR code like I did on GitLab, and then it's going to appear on your desktop device. A lot of great questions. Sorry that I'm not be able to cover everything. Or maybe one more?
Yeah, one more, and then we'll take those offline.
All right. What happens if the IT admin, like Mia, isn't available? Can another person recover ownership of shared folders? So also very related to Pete's question. Yes, so only admin roles can do that. It's to mitigate the potential risk if some admin would like to do illicit or make a do or is a threat to the company. So just specific roles can transfer ownership. So, but we recommend to have at least two owners in the company, because that also relies to recovery of data, transferring items from a deleted user as well. It's everything that relies around encryption. So owner role is essentially around encryption procedures, or procedures that are related to encryption.
Okay. So we are 3 minutes behind with our timing, but thank you so much. Simas, you did great.
Thank you
That
very
was
much.
the best TED talk you've ever given. So thank you for signing up for this experiment. Other than that, we have a few call to actions prepared for our attendees. So first of all, if you scan the first one, you can see all of the features. You can visit, will be led to your control panel. You can see all of the features there. And the second one, if you want to discuss something with your account manager, if you have additional questions, if you have some solution questions, you can book a one-on-one session with our sales team. So whether it's account management or account executives, we'll get back to you. And as I promised, all of those questions that we still have in the pipeline, so we will answer those in an email and send it to you in the following days. But other than that, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a huge pleasure representing NordPass and being here together with you and with Simas.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.